Hi, this is Hart, and this hat is the inspiration for the cassette cover journal kits this time. So I have 36 different cassette covers, and they are going to have a plethora, and as you can see, very bright items mixed in with a few vintage just because I love vintage. What I do is for every item that's sold in my Etsy account, I give an equal or equivalent item to a disabled artist that's emotionally or physically disabled that also has financial challenges. That enables them to continue to create art and have supplies when they normally can't afford to have the supplies. And there's a science behind it. If you want to learn about it, then there's some information below. But let me just get straight to it. This is an example of one of the kits. Every kit will be different. Every kit will be unique, but they all contain the same size papers, the same type of items in each one. And so let me just take you through this one. This is no different than when you bought cassettes way back in the day, if you're old enough to have had cassettes. This spine is not a very strong spine. The back usually doesn't go to make the perfect book. So what I've included in everyone's kit is a piece of paper that's cut to the size of your cassette cover. That way you can choose to line the whole thing to make a book, or you can choose, and that's why this is smooth here, you can choose to make this the beginning of your spine on your cover and then fold it, and then that's your back cover. Does that make sense? I'm not going to fold this one in the example, but it's an embossed piece of paper. It's very cool, and you don't have to use this piece of paper. You can use whatever you want. I include 90 different items in this kit. These are just the first 2 items. 3 if you count the paper clip. Then you have a binder clip as well to help you when you get ready to either sew it in or wrap it in. This is just a simple, let me go through this pretty quickly except for when I have a bunch of things inside of something else. So just a simple piece of paper. This is the same in each kit. This is the same die cuts in each kit, but they're going to be different papers. And so what's included here, and this piece of paper will help me demonstrate it, is a tab. Okay, so you can attach this on both sides and it becomes a little tab for your journal. I also have another little tab included. You can see that one, which will work great if you want to make little tags or the clipboard look. I have tags of varying colors, and you can tell that some of them have matching prints and some of them are different. That's to be expected because each one of these that have these, what is that, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 different tiny pieces, they will match and they will mismatch, and it will vary greatly from kit to kit. And the same is true for the different kinds of envelopes. This is a cut off of a Florida map, and this particular one happens to have the city where I live, so that's kind of funny. This map is larger than your cassette cover. And the reason I did that is because it's a good material to make a pocket. And so you can just fold up your map and have pockets down at the bottom. If you don't want to make pockets out of it, it is a little bit longer, and so you can fold it in to make tuck spots, or you can do both. Okay, this is a flashcard. I have 2 flashcards. This one is glossy on one side, glossy on the other side. So this one's glossy on both sides. This is glossy on one side and matte on the other side. Easy to write on. This is drawing paper. 2 index cards, a cigar label. Inside of this little plastic baggie, what I have is a 1-inch, just to give you scale, a 1-inch circle that I inked around the edges, a charm that is a leaf that's metal, And then a half back, it's clear. So if you decide to put it in the center of your flowers, it's a little bit smaller than that center, but that circle will help you. And so just use it however you want to use it, obviously, but just thought that this looked cute as a little package. I'm never going to get through this video if I keep going in detail, so. The graph paper is bigger than you need. You can see to scale, and so if you're to fold it this way, that's why it's cut at this size, to allow you to maximize the way that you're putting the papers in. And so if you were to cut this paper in half lengthwise and then fold it again this way, then you'll have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 front and back sheets just out of one piece of paper. So you can see that this book can be extremely chubby. Or you can just make tons of clusters or whatever embellishments you choose to make in these kits. So I have, everyone will have a piece of graph paper, but in this cut, these are going to be different prints for everybody. It looks happy. And so this is a cheery, spring, happy junk journal. In fact, some of the color schemes in here make it easy to have a boho journal. So this is an investments annual report or something like that, quarterly report, but it's a beautiful texture paper, and that makes the junk journal feel a little bit more junky for those of you who like it that way. Lined paper, again, it's nice when folded lengthwise. Each person gets one of these Project Life frames, or something little that is a little embellishment. So it'll be either a frame or a little embellishment from Project Life. And this may feel like, hey, that doesn't fit inside your book. But think outside of the box. So the frames are all 4 inches. If you get one of the square ones, the frames are all 4 inches wide, which means that it'll cover half your page when folded in half as a decoration. So included things like that to stretch you outside of the box. This is a dictionary's index, a very truly vintage dictionary. More vintage than many of us. The paper here is, you can hear it, it's not quite cardstock, but definitely thicker than your average paper. I don't know the pounds. Most of the ones, and these are different colors. These are going to be different prints, but similar colors. And this is just cream and gold, and I included this because it's nice to toss in a little bit of shiny and a little bit of bling, even when you're doing something boho or random. This is photo paper. This photo paper was actually donated by Walgreens. This is a cream colored paper. The reason I cut it to this size is because if you fold it in half twice, then it's bigger than you need for multiple pages. These are very thin pieces of just note paper that have a print. This is thick cardstock, white on one side. It's either going to be chevron or polka dot, many different colors. And by the way, your prints are going to be different, but the papers are going to be the same size. Here is another one where your color is going to be different. Some of them are muted tones and some of them are bright colors. This is actually one of the more muted, just because I picked a random one. This is one of the more muted packages, and so they have lots of purples and oranges and greens and pinks and reds and blues. Purple, orange, green, pink, red, and blue. Cream and black. Only a little bit of white. I suppose I've run across some of that. So the bright colors do actually blend well when you lay them out next to each other. So this is lined paper. It's either going to be purple or yellow in everyone's kit. This bling will be exactly the same in everyone's kit. A piece of cardstock this size. And this is too small to make as an extension going long ways, but if you choose to use this cardstock instead, you can see that that's cuttable into the space as well if you don't want to use the other one. This is slightly thinner than cardstock. Wow, this kit has a lot of purple. This here is a removable tab that you can just put wherever you want inside of your kit. And like I said, if you choose not to make a cassette journal, then these kits would be really fun for making embellishments and clusters and other kinds of things for whatever projects you're currently working on, or just having a random set of supplies that you're ready. So everyone has a piece of paper, different print of this size, and then everybody's going to have a tab. There's two colors here. One is a gray or a white that will end up in your kit. Everyone's going to have a small washi tape, and you can tell by the size it's about a half size washi tape. A puzzle piece, completely random. And just so you know what it comes from a Star Wars kit. So if you're anti-Star Wars, oh, I'm sorry, you'll have just a piece of Star Wars in your house anyway. So this comes from a Smashbook paper pad of small, and is it about? Yeah, it's about the same size as a cassette tape. So you might need to trim these ones out a little or use them in another project, but they're just fun. Another piece of paper with some bright colors. So they'll all be different prints, but this size paper. Again, different prints, this size paper, and both of these papers are white on the back. I did a lot of the white backed paper for good journaling space. That way when you do make your books, and this probably is enough to make a couple of books, when you do make your books, then you have plenty of journaling space. This is a slightly cream paper, but everybody's paper is going to be different. This came out of a huge stack of paper that I have of this size, pre-cut, nice and thin. And this particular paper comes everything from cream to super bright color, so this will be very random, just the same size. It's nice to have a few strips in here, so I've included a slightly longer strip. This is the same size as a Project Life card, but I kept it thin. So these are my own printouts of something that I was working on a long time ago. And I have a huge stack of these printouts that these colors I picked out of the stack. And they're free printable, so there's no copyright infringement here. And in some cases, the ones that you get are ones I've made and designed that I used to use in my little planner books. This is just standard copy paper, but like I said, printed on my own printer. I was going to say something else about that, but yeah, the item on the front of each of these is completely different, but in the same color scheme. As you can tell when you look at the color schemes, at the beginning of this group, it was pretty muted, but now you're getting into the oranges and the greens and the purples. Just to keep it junk journaling, oh, this is also going to be, it's white on the back side and has some print on the front side or stripes. Excuse me. This is a calendar page from this year. Everybody will get one of these. And I like to add just a couple of things like this to keep it junky. And the variety of textures, obviously. This is small lined paper. They are all going to be either this color or one other color. This is thicker than tissue, thinner than normal paper. Hard to describe the texture. Some of them have little rips. Almost all of them are bent like this. I added it just for texture inside of the book, or if you're making clusters. I have two pieces of tissue paper. These are going to be exactly the same in everyone's kit. Just this is a green, if it's not coming on the screen right. This is a shiny, almost foiled green, and they're both tissue. This will be slightly different for each person's kit. I hope you can see that it's embossed. what makes it slightly different is some of them will have a hint of pink that was inked when I was doing another project. I made 36 of these, and I just so happen to have 36 cassette tapes, and they didn't work out size-wise for the project, but they're kind of fun to put into the journal because it has a cool texture. Or you can use it in something else of yours, but some of them will have pink and some of them won't, and all of them will need to be pre-screened to see if they're racy because it came from one of my husband's suspense books, Protect and Defend. This is a 3x5 index card. They will all, every package will get one white card. This is something that doesn't necessarily go into this kit. This is more of a thank you for buying the kit. So my way of saying thank you is to send you a beautiful vintage book page from the 50s. This book page and everyone will have a unique, different book page because these are not copies or reproductions. I pull them out of Workbasket. Some will have instructions on how to do tatting or knitting or crochet. Almost all of them have really cool ads in them. Some of them hysterical ads in them. I'm telling you, I flipped through some and some are ridiculously funny. And other ones like, you know, put your hair up in seconds for $1. I mean, these are fun little ads and beautiful text, some interesting images, but it's my way of saying thank you to everyone who buys a kit. It's something you can reuse. Because of copyright laws, you cannot make copies of these and resell them, but you can use these pictures as they are in your own artwork and resell that artwork, if that makes sense to you. That's how the copyright would work on those. So everyone will get 5 buttons. These buttons, you're going to have 3 or 4 bright colors, and then 1 or 2 dark colors. And so it just depends on how they are grabbed, but I'll make sure that everybody has a couple of bright colored buttons to go with the bright colored book. Everyone will get a piece of lace. It's either going to be long and thin like this, or it's going to be chubby like that. Everyone is going to get this yarn, and this yarn is just fun. It's stretchy, it has a nice edge to it, and it varies in color all on its own. So I chose this piece for the example because you can see the brown, the muted tone. Some of it comes out, it's almost like a very muted golden yellowish. I don't even know what I'd call that. And then golden tan, I guess. And then it has varying shades of green. And so that's a fun one. This is a mint green colored yarn, and for those of you who don't have the supplies to do your own stitching, I'll get that knot out of there. For those of you who don't have the supplies to do your own stitching, I can give you a link for how you wrap the book to hold your pages in. And like I said, I'll get that knot out of there. Everyone gets some twine. And then lastly, there's this little die cut envelope that I've made for each person. And then inside of the envelope, you're going to have other die cuts or different pieces. This came off of a hanging folder. What I use these for myself is I would cut this in half and use it to make very strong pockets, just putting it on the outside. I'll do that in a video one day to show you how I make those. It's simple. I just use it to reinforce pockets. Then you have these 4 tags. These are all going to be different colors for everyone. When I say different colors, sometimes you'll have 2 or 3 tags. Let's say all 3 of these tags could be purple, 2 could be purple, 1 yellow, or they could be printed, they could be blank. It really is going to vary inside of each person's envelope. And then you have your flowers. Most of the flowers I kept with solid colored paper. And if it's not a solid colored paper, then just know it's not going to be a lined paper, because I noticed that flowers just don't look good with lines, or I didn't like it visually appealing. So I tried to keep it either a print or a solid for the flowers. Then each person gets 4 of these hole reinforcers. These are already sticky, and I inked them with green and some other brownish colored distress ink. Each person is either going to get a completely random chipboard piece or something of the same kind of quality. And these vary greatly from person to person to person. It's all different. And then there's just a few cut pieces just to add some character so you can make some embellishments. Everyone gets a little square piece, a strip with shiny. And the shinies are going to be different from person to person, but they're all going to be black and silver in that strip inside. Then you have, again, super varying prints. Sometimes they're the same color, sometimes they're the same print, sometimes they're different. But I thought these would be great as little pockets, little tuck spots or pockets inside your book. And when I was saying earlier on how you can make it as strong edging for when you attach things, not necessarily a good example here because it's a triangle, but you can see how it would strengthen and allow you to have a bigger pocket. But you get 2 triangles. You get a bottle. This will either be a cream color or a brown color. And then you also get this envelope that all of these came in. Now, I suppose you could even use the envelope that everything comes in. Just know that it'll have the mailing stuff, but why not just paint over that and use that for a different project? I mean, it's all fun in its own. So with that said, hopefully you guys enjoy picking out which one brings you a bit of your own past or a bit of fun, or maybe you're picking it because you like the images that are on the front of the covers. So thank you so much for helping us help others, and hopefully you have a ton of fun making this if you purchase one of these kits. And by the way, very important to me, if you do make a video or have a photo of a kit that you've made, I would love if you shared that link with us, or if you share the picture with us. That way we can share it with others. So thank you so much, everyone. Take care.